If you go back to the Second World War, which was probably the nearest moment of global crisis that we can relate to, we saw the mass mobilization of research and activity very successfully in the Second World War. The Manhattan Project is the sort of poster child of that, but I actually always find much more interesting is the mass production of penicillin, which had probably as big an impact on the Second World War outcome as the Manhattan Project, coming out of the same office in the White House. And at the time in the US, there was this view that science effectively had won the war, and how do we maintain that commitment to science going forward? And there's this quite famous report, The Scientific Frontier, written by Bush in 1945, which set out a blueprint which effectively became the National Science Foundation 5 years later. And I think the critical thing is, I reread that report recently, and it is so focused on allowing researchers to do what they want, because in time that will lead to some kind of benefit. And I'm of the view, and I think it's backed up with the data, that led to this dominant ideology, and I use that word quite deliberately, in the scientific community, that all research has to be curiosity driven, because in time there will be some kind of outcome that benefits society. And that outcome may be serendipitous, it may take 1 generation, 2 generations, whatever. But for a long time, and based on research, I've done quite lots of empirical research around this, I think that's a myth. I don't think the data stacks up. It doesn't support that hypothesis, but it is clearly within the interest of the scientific community to maintain that ideology, because effectively the social contract is trust us, we're scientists, give us the money and we'll sort things out for you. And for various reasons, I don't think that argument is any longer tenable. Part of that is the democratization of information, so people get to peer into the black box of science in ways that they couldn't do in the 1950s. Part of it, just the breakdown of hierarchies and what have you in society. So we've seen a shift, I think, over quite a long period of time towards what you myself would call impact, and research that's focusing on impact. But it's clearly not in the interests of the scientific community to make that case, because they've actually got quite a nice deal at the moment, because as long as we are in awe of their scientific knowledge and give them the money, they can do what they want, and we all want to do what we want. So it's a great deal. But that social contract is breaking down, and that is why I think you've seen in the Anglo-Saxon world, at least, notably in Australia and the UK, this move to measuring research impact. And in one sense, the fact that we have to measure and reward it, i.e. incentivize it, is an illustration of the failure of the research system in not demonstrating that it was having impact and making a contribution to wider society. If that was in the narrative, then nobody was saying, well, prove it to us. But we've been asked to prove the value of this research.